help families kind of in two categories of families. So either they are housed, but they're at risk of being evicted, maybe tomorrow, maybe next week, but they've got eviction paperwork, and they've had some kind of financial crisis such that they cannot come up with the money in order to stay where they are. So they've got a roof over their head, but not for long. Or families will come to us who are already homeless. They're doubled up with friends or family, or they're staying in a motel, and they're in a crisis.
So we looked at what was happening. We said, well, why don't we build a homeless shelter? I mean, there were that many families turning to us that we knew we had to address the problem. So we got partners. A lot of churches signed on, and everybody was gung-ho. And then HUD did a study of over 1,000 families. One of the things the study said was that people really prefer to stay in their own communities, to stay where they are. If that's an apartment or wherever, they want to stay in their communities because they know people. Their support is in their communities.
Was married for 20 years, and husband decided just to leave. We have 5 kids, all in their teenage years. He decided to leave, didn't want to be married anymore, and at the same time wasn't providing and continued not to provide when he left. And so we found ourselves in foreclosure, and we were in that house for 16 years. That's where my kids grew up. When the house was finally gone, we had to find a place to live, and the kids did not want to be pulled out of their school. You know, their whole lives were turned upside down anyway. So now all of a sudden we find ourselves looking for something in the school district with the kids. And anyway, it was a time of so I found myself at Dorcas, started meeting with Katie, and we met for a long time, just keep me updated, tell me what's going on. When it all came down to it, we thought we might have to go to extended stay because I wasn't finding anything. It was right at Christmas time. We moved the week before Christmas. I happened to find some townhouse in Morrisville that was in my budget. It had space and it was reasonable, so they helped with deposit and the hookups, and my church helped get me a couple months of rent. Mainly, it was a chance to get back on my feet. It gave me some breathing room, because when you're in that limbo and you don't know what you're going to do and you don't know how you just don't have the resources, it was just a peace of mind to know, okay, I had 2 months of rent so that I could catch a breath and get back on my feet.
Yeah, so if a family loses their home in Cary, the closest shelter is in Raleigh, and it's about, by bus, it can be up to 2 hours away, by car, 30 or 40 minutes. So what we see is if a family is uprooted and has to move to Raleigh, they have to make difficult decisions about keeping their kids in school in Cary because the commute becomes really long and difficult. It can put their job in jeopardy.
And so we'll look at the barriers and then decide what are the action plan steps that the family needs to take or the parents need to take in order to maintain their housing or find stable housing. So it could be things like they need to take a budgeting class or meet with a volunteer here to get budget counseling. We get them to take classes at Wake Tech to help them interview better if they need to get a job. We have adult education scholarships. We have childcare scholarships.
I am a nurse, and when I came to Dorcas, I was a nurse, so that made it kind of unusual, you know what I mean? I had went through what I think a lot of people go through with it, which is finding yourself unhappy and not satisfied at work and stress, and it was becoming a physical thing, you know? So I decided I'm gonna leave, you know, I'm gonna quit, and I'm gonna go and I'm gonna find something else. And I thought it was gonna be really easy, and it wasn't. And I found myself needing help. And that's what brought me to Dorcas. I met with Katie. She's amazing. I don't know what else to say. I've been to a few places, and it's unsettling and it's uncomfortable. And I was in a position that I had never been in, and I found myself in rooms with people who were homeless, who were jobless, who didn't have a car to drive here. And I did, So in a way, I'm fighting against, like, do I even really belong here? Do I deserve to be here? And then meeting Katie, the first thing she did was, like, smooth over that uneasiness. I cried in her office that day, just feeling relief of I didn't fail, and I didn't, make a huge mistake, and that it was going to be okay, and that I had people to help me. This was just all a part of that journey. I think that is important, like, that people realize what Dorcas really has, and how they treat people, and how they look at you, and how they treat you. Everybody's just the same. Everybody's just one.
It's less expensive for them and less expensive for the community. It's less expensive for our government programs and society to help people stay housed compared to putting them into shelter or transitional housing programs. All of those things are necessary to serve all of the folks in our community who have needs, but my program really tries to divert people out of that system to prevent people from landing in this system.
I am a mother of two and separated from my husband, and so I was already going through a challenging time, and then I lost my career of 10 years. I was making a reasonable amount of money and living very comfortably, and all of that went away. There was nowhere for me to go temporarily. I had to make it. I had to make it work. Once I started working with Katie, she had me come in like every 2 to 3 weeks and just sit down and talk to her and tell her what I was doing different to make things better. She had me come in, like I said, a few times out of the month, and all I wanted to do was make sure that Katie was proud of what I'd done. I looked forward to reporting to Katie and saying, look at what I did. Look at how far I've come. From the receptionist at the front to everyone that I've ever encountered here, I could tell that there's just a genuine concern. It's been overwhelming. It's been overwhelming. I don't know what I would have done without Dorcas. I probably would have been in a shelter and trying to explain to my children. I don't even know. I'm so glad that I didn't get to that point. I'm so glad that that didn't happen. I'm so grateful that I didn't have to go there, because I understand that that's where I could have been.
I think the homelessness issue in Cary is largely invisible, that people stay with their friends and stay with their neighbors temporarily. And then if they do actually become homeless, they have to leave because there isn't a shelter here. There aren't a lot of options.
We tracked 34 high-risk families for a year. At the end of the year, after we offered the types of supports that we were offering, we were able to keep 32 of those 34 families stable in place, which is unbelievable. They're still in our community. They're still contributing. The children are still in the same school, They're with their neighborhoods, they're building, they're paying taxes. This is good. We need to duplicate this type of model.